Дорогие наши зрители, я вам хочу напомнить, что у нас с вами есть меню горизонтальное, в котором вы можете
on the bar downside, and there you can choose the interpretation. You can also choose the lecture hall, and also you can find the translation, the broadcasts from our halls. So everything can be found in the menu below. You can also find the slot for the meetings. There are lots of partners who are present on our website. And now I'm happy to introduce our next speaker. We are really grateful that this person managed to take part in our event. Our next speaker will be Judith van Vliet. And you can listen to the original speech in English, or you can click on Russian and listen to the interpretation into Russian. The next speech will be really interesting because our next speaker is an incredible specialist. She is the leading designer of ColorWorks TM, Italy. She is the chief colorist of Avent Corporation and Color Marketing Group, and that says it something. And she will speak about ColorForward 2021. So we'll know in details 4 social trends that will influence all of our customers in the near future. So we will see the main 5 colors for each trend, and surely we'll learn a lot. We are all in anticipation, so prepare your pencils and paper. We're also ready for a Q&A. You can try and ask a question after the session, after the main part of it. So now the floor is yours, Judith. We are happy to welcome you. So let's begin.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know as soon as you can see it, and I'll start my presentation. So I'm gonna, obviously we have a lot of limitations today. This is a beautiful HTML video that is gonna obviously glitch because of Wi-Fi bandwidth and many other issues that we are all having because we're all at home. So I am presenting from my home in Italy, Milan, and I'm presenting you ColorForward 2021. I finished already last week ColorForward 2022, and that will be ready as of January this year. The colors for 2021, you see some of them already running on the screen. I also have the colors here with me, so you can have a look at them. But before diving into the presentation, I'd like to explain to you first how we do this type of presentations. Because different from a lot of other companies, we produce ColorForward 2021 entirely internally within the company. So previously we were Clariant, now we are Avent. So we gathered 1 week last year with my global ColorWorks team, and they are in Sao Paulo, Chicago, Singapore, and of course Italy. And I am as creative director responsible for this week to filter 4 societal trends and 20 colors that we think consumers will respond to in 2021. So I'm going to show you a time lapse of that very fun and very exhausting week last year in Chicago. Now on day 1 from the 5 work days, everybody has to present their regional homework. So that means Asia Pacific presents what they think are the trends for 2021 for their region. Latin America does the same, North America does the same, and I do the same for EMEA. This is a long day, but this is very important that everybody brings their their information, going to conferences, all the things that they've gathered throughout the year to that presentation. Day 2 is the only day we invite external speakers, people that are not working for Avent. They do not see what we have done on the first day, so they do not take part in the discussion, but they come and inspire us as a team. We often work with Tom Palmaerts from Ghent, Belgium. He worked for Trent Wolves, and he inspired us about youth cultures and other different generations and how they're behaving for 2021. Day 3 is the longest day. It's a very long day because here we have people that grew up in China. We have people that grew up in São Paulo, Brazil. And then, of course, a lot of Europeans and Americans, Canadians, who all have different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different education. But we all have to agree to the 4 societal trends that we see forthcoming in 2021. If there's one region that does not see a certain trend happening, we start from scratch. So only when we start and sign off on 4 societal trends, we move into the mood board creation. Now, I think I have mainly designers on the call. So I will just quickly say a mood board is a visualization of the story in images, keywords, sometimes even prototypes, and of course, titles. So we split in 2 teams. 2 teams work on 2 trend stories, and at the end of the day, again, we gather as a group. And only on the last and final day, on the 5th day, we choose color. Color is hugely important. It influences our daily life, but it has influencers. And if you do not know what the story behind a color selection is, customers will not buy into your color or into your product. So here we take into account the emotional translation into different types of effects, different type of colors. For those colors, the 20 colors that we think will prevail in 2021. So I have 4 stories here for you. If you don't understand the titles, no problem. I'm gonna translate these for you as well. The first story is Dum Num. The second one is See Through. The 4th is Sense Appeal. And then we have Ubuntu. So let me start with Dum Num first. This video normally comes with music, but the problem is that obviously when I speak and I have music and you also have translation, I think you're going to be lost in translation, literally. So for those of you who would like to receive the video, you can contact me after and you can get the video, okay? So Dum Num is all about that not so long ago, we were worried about the digital divide that represented this anxiety that the rich will have access to information and more possibilities in almost every area of life to those who cannot afford connected digital devices. The current trend shows, however, is that the human connection is becoming a luxury good for the rich, while poor families may not be able to living screen-free in the future. The rich have grown afraid of screens. They want their kids to play with blocks and go to tech-free private schools that are booming. Humans are also more expensive, and rich people are willing and able to pay for them. Conspicuous human interaction, so living without a phone for a day, quitting social media networks, for example, and not answering your emails, have become a status symbol. Nannies in the Silicon Valley in the United States increasingly have no screen clauses written into their contracts, meaning that they, but also the children that they're looking after, are not permitted to any form of technology. Why is this a trend? And what are the effects of overexposure to screens? Now that you're probably listening to me and a translator, you're thinking about, hey, COVID-19 and what's happening. This trend is indeed for 2021. But as you can see, COVID-19 has accelerated it very much because we're all in front of screens. And that's what this trend story is about. So it's a very accurate story already for where we are living today. Screen time is affecting our brain, not just our brain, but especially the brain of younger children. Screen exposure also starts very young. Children who spend more than 2 hours a day looking at a screen, they got lower scores on thinking and language tests, according to an early study done in the United States by the National Institutes of Health on 11,000 children. More disturbingly, the study is finding that the brains of children who spend a lot of screen time, and we're talking about 8 hours a day, are changing, that these brains are different. There is, for some children, a premature thinning of the cerebral cortex when they are watching 7 hours or more on screens. So the thinning cortex is normal that it thins when you get older, but not when you're a very young child, of course. In adults, screen time is connected to anxiety, but also depression. And in other studies, we've seen very interestingly that it literally makes you stupid. It numbs your brain. So there was a 2014 study. It's an older study. It involved 47 subjects, but it was interesting from the Journal of Psychology. At the University of Southern Maine, they did this test. They split the people in 2 teams. One was doing a test on attention and cognition with their phone nearby or turned off. They could see their phone, but there were no notifications. The others had their phone put away in their bag. The ones who had their phone put away in their bag did much better in the testing room. Now, we are living in a screen-based society, but especially in middle and low-income communities, especially in the United States, but also in different parts in the world, we see that there is more screen-based education for children. In Utah, there is a state-funded online preschool only, and this is serving 10,000 children who otherwise would not go to preschool. And this is all online. But then we have the other tendency from Silicon Valley, and obviously parents in affluent neighborhoods that are going back to preschools with limited or even no screen time. Now, today, of course, for obvious reasons, that's not possible. But it's interesting to see where we will go back to 2021 and 2022. When we look at screen time generally, we see that low-income teenagers, for example, spend an average of 8 hours and 7 minutes a day on screens, and that's for homework and entertainment. But then when they go to people, our children and teenagers that are for middle and higher income, they only spend 5 hours and 42 minutes on screens. So this is a big difference that we're seeing here. In our always connected lives, and the ability to opt out is something that's increasingly seen as a luxury for those who can afford it. Owning chickens or running a small holding, for example, are this new inverted status symbol, especially for tech executives. In the context of our always connected lives, where data is commoditized, those who can afford to opt out are ever more an elite. There's also a growing trend for luxury traveling, where being in the middle of nowhere with no technology is part of that appeal. Luxury travel agency Black Tomatoes Get Lost concept is offering trips off the grid on various retreats in the world, also wild dining remote restaurants, like, for example, the new first Faroe Islands Michelin restaurant. And this is all illustrating how there is a trend for experimental luxury, but also luxury of disconnecting from technology. How will this trend develop? And will human engagement become a luxury in also different segments, such as healthcare, which I'm afraid we are already seeing. Now, when we go to the colors, you will see the colors pop up here on the screen. Ciao che fai is Italian language. Ciao che fai is a warm reddish orange. That stands for true friendships, not digital friendships. Apparently, research shows that when you have friendships that are cross-generational, cross-cultural, you enhance your possibility of true happiness with 3.5 times. So that is Ciao che fai. No Wi-Fi. Of course, the whole point of this luxury trend and experimental luxury is going off the grid. This is a very soft green color. It looks a little bit blue on my screen, but you will see that actually it's more on the green tendency. And this is really about going no screen at all. Then stupidify. So this is a very bright mauve color, as you can see. And this is a color that indicates the stupidification of society. So this is about people doing way too much screen time. And even when you have your phone in your pocket, research shows that it's already slowly making you more stupid. The golden ticket, gold, of course, on the screen, you can never see a gold, but you'll have to trust me and imagine that we're talking here about a very elegant gold. It's very lightly shimmery, it has tiny glitters, and it's representing the luxury of human engagement for indeed affluence. So this is a new status symbol. Wi-Fi, then we have a grayish smoke effect. And this is the smoke effect, not just of our neurons that are obviously affected by screens, but it is also a satirical name that we have given to this because, of course, we are wondering, do we really need to be connected 24/7? I'm going to show you quickly those colors. So here we have the orange, the green, the gray, the very light beigey gold. Then we have the mauve color. So they're a little bit less less saturated than what you see on the screen. Going to the second story, we go to see-through. And in see-through, we talk about the fact that we are living in an age of authenticity, but also we are constantly questing for transparency. We are obsessed with being true to ourselves, being authentic and avoiding fakery. We tell our children to follow their dreams and pursue their passions because we think it's oppressive to force someone to do a job that is at odds with their true self. We desperately seek sincerity in ourselves, but also in our leaders, such as we can think of nothing more despicable than a person who isn't genuine or someone who is betraying their true feelings in order to save face. Authenticity, however, has expanded to the point that we no longer believe in it anymore. And why should we? We live in a time where brands, companies are expected to not just reflect our values, but act on them. Trust in business can no longer be based on visual signs of authenticity, only on proof of work. Yet despite this obsession that we have with authenticity, we are losing our grip on the truth. Criticism of public institutions is continually mounting. Social trust is shrinking. Conspiracy theories, especially today, is flourishing, but also do alternative forms of medicine, schooling, and journalism. This is affecting all areas of collective knowledge, and science is even examined alongside religion. Now, according to a late survey by McKinsey, 70% of respondents across all demographics try to purchase from a company that they consider ethical. The rush to prove ethical credentials, however, generates a lot of noise, and it's increasingly difficult to connect with younger generations who demand absolute authenticity and transparency. Greenwashing, woke-washing are particularly unforgivable for the Generation Z, and according to that same McKinsey survey, 80% of respondents refuse to buy from a company that is involved in a scandal. Tecate is one of these beer brands from Mexico. They're owned by Heineken. They began a campaign against domestic violence. So you would think maybe this is washing. So they're pretending to be ethically correct, but maybe they're not. Well, interestingly is that they did this campaign a few years ago in a country where 2 in 3 women are suffering from gender violence. The tagline for a campaign was, "If you don't respect women, we don't want you to drink us." Now, following the launch of this campaign, interestingly, there was a 75% increase in help requests to the National Shelter Network, and also revenue increase 13.4%. So these are campaigns that also show that you are helping these women. Instagram, the influencers on Instagram have had a hard time for the last couple of years. We see that their sponsored rates are falling. There's a lot of mistrust in these influencers. We used to trust them because they were the next boy and the next girl from next door, but they're no longer anymore because we know that they're paying a lot of money. We also know that indeed they are not always pushing the services and products that are even trustworthy. So as time goes on, all these influencer posting is becoming very artificial in attempts to stand out from, of course, the masses. Companies like Unilever, but also Kellogg's, have decided that they will no longer pursue advertising using influencers. Research is also showing that there's a shift in counterfeit goods. There's a shift in consumers towards authenticity. Now, interestingly, the quality of luxury goods is improving, And identifying inauthentic items is becoming more difficult. The ethics to quality gap will continue to shrink across all markets, and this is growing more and more. This current market of counterfeit goods, so of fake luxury products, is already worth $460 billion. Now, how can you see what is authentic and what is not authentic as a product? We have even some consumers that are buying fake on purpose, because at least they know that they bought a fake, because identifying a real product is more and more difficult. That's why Trust Chain is this new project that is founded by a collaboration with IBM and the global consortium of jewelers, and they will track and validate your diamonds and precious metals across all points of the supply chain using blockchain. It's currently in development. They also will have an app so that you can QR code your diamonds and at least you know where it's coming from. Now, of course, not everybody has diamonds, but we all like coffee, and I think we all like chocolate. So now we see also that the authenticity of coffee beans and cacao is being tracked with the blockchain as well. And this makes customers entrust that they're actually eating and drinking authentic, ethical products. So trust and authenticity is really, really key in this trend story. And when we look at the colors, you will see that there's some colors that are very artificial and some that are a little bit more, let's say, trustworthy. The blues, of course, color psychology-wise, they always enhance trust. But this lime green is very artificial. And this is, of course, the concept of greenwashing. Companies pretending that they're sustainable and green, but they're actually not. They're hiding behind the mask. So yes, this is obviously talking about the Jim Carrey movie from 94. Now, I'm not saying that only the Financial Times can be trusted, but I do believe that the Financial Times is one of these last printed newspapers that has an authenticity reality check. They have a way of sourcing that not many newspapers have. So what we did, we took the Financial Times newspaper and we matched it exactly the same color. It looks a bit bluer on my screen, and actually it's a bit redder. And we called it the Naked Truth. El Dorado. El Dorado is, of course, this famous legendary city in Colombia. Or actually, it's a Colombian legend. It was referred to the Golden Man, but then the Golden City. And this is about all these Europeans that centuries ago, 2 centuries ago, were looking for the gold, which I think they never found. Interestingly, that this is the concept. And obviously, this is a very shiny gold color, but actually it's just a plain yellow. And that is to show everybody that not everything that shines is true gold. So to not be too trustworthy, to check your facts. Pure false. Pure false is this greenish blue that is reflecting the rise of the counterfeit market. This is about people buying fake, although they know it's a fake, but at least they know what they're buying. Neerdine. Neerdine is a reddish blue, so we have 2 blues in here. And Neerdine is the mythical Welsh prophet that was driven mad when he was unable to tell the truth. You probably know him better as Merlin. So Merlin always had this blue cape. And for us, he really represented truth. When you look at the colors, you have here the yellow, the 2 blues, very different from one another, then the lime green and the Financial Times pink. Sense Appeal, the very beautiful palette. It's very comforting. It's like a warm blanket. It's a story to which I always start talking about Charles Darwin and his book of the expression and the emotions of man and animals. It's from 1872, and he introduced all of us on early insights on behavioral inheritances. Darwin claims that emotions were the language of the body, with clear visual qualities that could be recognized in all cultures. So human emotions, he argued, are universal, and they have a code of expression via nonverbal cues, gesturing, and tone of voice. Neuromarketing's first research can be found already in the early 1990s. The ability, however, to quantify emotions using technology is a radical revolution in the interaction space, disrupting completely the relationship between human technology, brand, and consumer. A 2018 Orbis research report showed that the global emotional computing market was estimated to be worth $16 billion US in 2017, but will grow to almost $90 billion in 2023. Now, today, the field has evolved beyond its initial scope with a growing body of evidence that's demonstrating how we are directly impacted by visual arts, architecture, design, digital media, music, on indeed our biology, our human brain, but also our behavior. Neuroaesthetic research is identifying the systems and the brain mechanisms that are responding to aesthetics. And this is like finding a map to a hidden treasure. Cutting edge research is showing in great detail how aesthetics enter the brain through our portal of the senses, whether we know it or not, directly impact our biological motherboard. So the use of mobile devices and tracking devices, so wearable sensors, can measure through galvanic responses, skin responses, temperature, heart rate, and respiration, whether you like something or not, and whether you're enjoying yourself or not. Google showed this with the Space for Being in Milan last year. Milan Design Week last year, you entered the Google space, you were measured as wearable, you would go in different type of living rooms, and at the end of your trip, you were presented with the results of where you were more comfortable. Because Google thinks that neuroaesthetics is all about showing you how you're influenced by your surroundings, but also that thoughtful design is important and that we need to be careful what we surround ourselves with. IKEA, beautiful project also last year. Look it up. It's called the IKEA Heart Scanner. So make sure you go and have a look on that one as well. It's a very interesting project in which they you can only buy the carpets, for example, if you respond physically well to the design. If you are not generally interested, you're not allowed to buy those carpets. Now, the ability of technology to read out our preferences in aesthetics is allowing for designers to design more intelligently according to consumers' preferences. This is something that's completely new in the market. Now, when we have a look at the colors, we have Motus Intelligentia, which is a Latin name for a very soft pinkish coral color. And this is talking about the emotional intelligence that is acknowledging this new science by connecting design to emotions. Mona Lies Me. This is homage to the undecipherable smile of course, the most famous painting in the Louvre. It's a deep purple. It's an eggplant purple, and it is definitely the mystery behind all these true hidden emotions. Sweaty art. Sweaty art is about, it's a dark teal color. It's actually darker than you see here. And this is about our galvanic responses to an artwork or to a piece of design. A dark copper color. You cannot see the shimmer, of course. This is a metallic color. And DAPE is an acronym that stands for Design Augmented by Emotion. It's a warm color, and this is about the human emotions that occur in purchasing processes. And then we have a very clean white color with tiny dots inside. It's called Wanbei. Wanbei in Chinese means perfect accomplishment. And this is what neuroaesthetics and designers are trying to reach. A nearly perfect design, exactly according to your personal preference. And then the last story, Ubuntu. And Ubuntu in Zulu means I am because we are, or humanity towards one another. And this is a theme that is very, very accurate for the times that we are living in this pandemic. This is a theme that talks about how we make decisions, how we collaborate as well. So when we make decisions, we are always influenced to some degree by other people, whether it's choosing a restaurant or a political candidate. We want to know what others think before we make a choice, because humans are social animals. And we know that very well now that we can't touch and be together anymore. We're so social that we can rarely be independent of one another, because we have this propensity to copy communication and also behavior. It's called social learning. Humans copy each other each and every day. You buy the latest pair of sneakers because you think they're very popular, yet popularity does not equal quality at all times. But this induces smarter decision purchases. So sometimes, let's say, social learning can improve our decision making. Our social learning ability has led to extraordinary technological success. Advances in modern science and technology have not just been only possible due to genius innovation, but also the human's ability to learn from one another. So social learning is a form of collective intelligence, smart decision making among groups of individuals that improves on the ability of one single person. Unfortunately, also the opposite can be true, because when there's harmful knowledge or information going viral due to this very same copying behavior, there is a phenomenon that's called maladaptive herding, and this can trigger things like, for example, instability in stock markets. So why do humans sometimes exhibit collective wisdom and at other times madness? Can we reduce the risk of maladaptive herding and at the same time increase our possibility to collective wisdom? Here we talk about swarming. Birds swarm, ants swarm, fish swarm. These are all animals where there's no central control unit. These simple agents are interacting locally within their environment, yet new behaviors emerge. Until recent, we see that there's no research done for human swarming, but swarm intelligence per se is very interesting. And I do believe that we humans should adopt that, because swarm intelligence is the self-organization of systems for collective, decentralized behavior. Now, why can we humans not just do that and arrive to a preferred solution to all the massive problems that we are facing currently on this earth? Whether it's finding a vaccine or whether it is getting medical equipment to people who are most in need. Swarm intelligence draws from biologically inspired algorithms that enhance robotics and mechatronics. Bio-inspired systems bring new intelligence to the design of robotics and are used today already in aerial flying robots, robotic manipulators, and underwater vehicles. The physical, biological, and digital worlds will benefit immensely by learning from nature. These bio-inspired applications are creating swarm algorithms, empowering a newly discovered autonomy. But let me be very clear on one thing. The key to human survival is not about having a sophisticated, intelligent robot that is flossing your teeth while you're in the shower. No, the secret is sociality. We must build social systems when we design intelligent systems. Let's collect lessons from nature, insights from humans, and the unified benefits of intelligent systems and create something that is smarter than ourselves. The algorithms, the robotics and systems are just one thing of that very enormous piece that we need to create. We already see this happening in cities like Neom in Saudi Arabia and also on the territory of Egypt and Jordan. They will start designing Neom in 2021. So this is their breaking ground, and Neom is going to be one of the very first innovative cities that is going to be completely on a collaborative innovation from the initial design phase. The assimilation of data from human and technological systems at Neom will be done at a massive scale, and this will power intelligent, automated processes to enable these city planners to address social, economical, and educational needs of its citizens, resulting indeed in a direct quality of life. The blockchain is also important in this trend story. Blockchain is used to entrust transparency and collaboration. We see that there's an interesting project in Africa done by the most influential people of African descent. And they want by 2024 to plant 200 million trees across the continent. Now, in order for people to buy into this project and to trust that those trees are really planted, they are going to geotag each and every tree using blockchain technology. So all of these trees can be tracked. Now, the point here of Ubuntu is that if we learn how to do swarm intelligence and how this can be combined with the brain power of humans and computers, we may solve humanity's bigger problems. We may even be able to solve Mother Earth. And when we look into these colors for me, they really ooze Africa. Deep Shift is a very fiery red. It's on the pinky side. And this is really about the complexity of today's problems. So of course, it's a big red light that is indicating us, stop, we've gone too far. Anti-attack, browns, yellows, 2021, 2022, don't forget about them. This is a reddish, translucent brown with a metallic effect. And this is about ants. Ants being one of these obviously insects that have been able to go through different issues, different environmental changes, and they've always been able to tap into resources and defend themselves. So really the color of swarm intelligence. The waggle dance, this is the color of the honeycomb. So this is the color of the honeycomb, very dark, a dark tinted black yellow. An important color because the bees are the most important species on Earth. The waggle dance is the dance that the bees are performing when they found the nectar. And then that's how they move towards the sun to show the rest of the bees where the nectar can be found. Stigmergence. Stigmergence comes from the word stigmergy, from the Greek stigma, which means marking or signing. And mergy comes from mechanism or indeed work. And it refers to the spontaneous coordination between agents and actions. So hopefully nations and different government bodies and institutions. But at the same time, this very dark purple is also symbolizing these smart cities and their never sleeping collective minds. Magulgur means very great ship in Sumerian. Now this is probably, you probably know this better as the Ark of Noah. And that's a little bit the color that we wanted to reflect. A natural green that is all about Mother Earth. It's about nature. Nature that we are spoiling, but also this idea of saving human species as well. So that is Magulgur, a very interesting bluish green. And then I have come to the palette. So here you have all the colors from Dum Dum and also the direction of the colors. So directional colors are the ones that are having a larger surface, not meaning that the others are not important, but how to use them is indicated here on this page, as you can see. So those are the colors of Dum Dum. See-through again, we've got the two blues. Very important in a story that is talking about trust, transparency. We have then the artificial yellow and the artificial green, indicating greenwashing, wool washing, and the untrustworthiness. And then the Financial Times salmon pink. Sense appeal to me, as I said, this is the warmest palette that we have. It's very well balanced. It's great for the use of, just show it to you here. It's great for the use of interior design, even to use all of these colors, for example, together in these proportions. But we do think that the blue and the purple and also the copper color are colors to be used on maybe larger surfaces. And then Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very earthy. It's very dramatic. It is, to me, a very African color palette. Fierce colors, but dramatic, still well balanced. So the red is definitely important. The brown and the yellow, as I said, browns and yellows are not to be forgotten in 2021, but they're also going to move on for 2022. And that means that I have come literally 1 minute before the end of my time. Thank you.
Джудит, благодарю за прекрасное
Thank you
выступление.
very much, Judith. That was incredible. There are several questions from the studio, and the first question is the following. What are the color combinations that reflects best of all your mood for today? So are there some color combinations that correspond to your mood? Can you tell
Well,
us?
to be honest, very funny. Although this is actually an old Marni, it is, as you can see, very close to actually one of the color trends that I selected for 2021. Then, of course, colors come back in cycles. I was born Dutch from the Netherlands, so I love oranges and I love corals and greens. So if I am happy, like I am today, I often go for orange and then indeed the greens, like you can also see on my blouse. So that would be my color combination of today.
У вас прекрасный образ, прекрасная
You
палитра.
look wonderful. These colors, they really suit you. And you are incredible. Do you teach in Italy? Do you have your own school or maybe some courses, maybe online courses? Can you expand on your teaching practices? Maybe you give some master classes.
Yes, I would love to. Honestly speaking, I am not personally giving master classes, but that is definitely something that I would be interested in. So for Avent, I do not do master classes. I do this type of presentations, sometimes also at university and academies. But for color marketing groups, so where I am immediate past president, we do trend spotting, which indeed anybody who's interested in trend spotting, they can join. We do color education as well, and also color forecasting courses. Actually, tomorrow I have a color chat at 4:30 my time, so that is Moscow time 5:30. And if there's still spots available, we're going to talk about COVID colors with people from multiple industries.
И тут же посыпались вопросы, а что это за чат, и будет ли это на английском?
There are lots of questions, how we can join it. Will it be in Italian, in English? So how it works?
It will be in English, yes. It will be in English. The organization, that's true, it's an international organization, Color Marketing Group, but we are global. I am the only European, so I'm the only non-American. But English is the language that we will speak, and there's a lot of people that are not in perfect English, and that's absolutely perfectly fine.
Благодарим вас за выступление. Лично я.
Thank you very much. For me, it was inspirational. And for me, some of the colors were incredible. For me, some of them really show something very related to the Moscow, especially from the sense appeal. They are warm and at the same time they are kind of cooling. Thank you very much. Thank you for the emotions that you gave us, and we hope to see you next year among our participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye.
Goodbye.